Breaking news. They're coming for the kids. But we're coming for them! Sisters broken badges flashing in the night. Knock down doors, no warrant, no right. Take the children, tear the families apart. Hide behind protection while you rip out the heart. Files fabricated, lies on the stand. Judges in their pocket, money changing hands. Parents screaming, cameras never show. The real abuse happens when the CPS shows. Scott ever standing, fighting Tennessee DCS. For separation, they tore the family from his chest. Placed on a registry, no charges, no crime. Blount County DCS crossing every line. Evers versus the state, lawsuit in federal court. Exposing the corruption, tearing that system apart. Years of battle, justice delayed, but not denied. A father's resolve with truth on his side. No mercy, no justice, just power unchecked. We expose the corruption, put them under the rack. Got it for CPS. We won't stop, we won't rest. Breaking news every day. Truth cuts like a blade. Got it for CPS. Your empire's gonna fail. We fight for the families. We fight for the free. CPS. Your time is over. You'll see. Another case buried, another life destroyed. Numbers manipulated, stories over deployed. They call it protection, we call it abduction. State-sponsored kidnapping, legal corruption. Parents labeled unfit for daring to speak. Question the system and they label you weak. We document every raid, every lie, every theft. The resistance is growing, no more silent regret. No mercy, no justice, just power unchecked. We expose the corruption, put them under the rack. Got it for CPS. We won't stop, we won't rest. Breaking news every day. Truth cuts like a blade. Got it for CPS. Your empire's gonna fade. We fight for the families. We fight for the free. CPS. Your time is over. You'll see. You took the innocent. You destroyed the home. Now the people are waking. And we're coming for your throne. No more silence. No more fear. The revolution starts right here. Got it for CPS. We won't stop, we won't rest. Breaking news every single day. Got it for CPS. Your kingdom's gonna break for every parent, for every child set free. CPS, we're gunning for thee. This is the podcast, Gunning for CPS, hosted by Scott Evers. Relentless in his fight, Evers versus Tennessee DCS. A father who refuses to yield, exposing every injustice, demanding accountability, reclaiming what was taken. The battle continues. Stay vigilant. The truth is our weapon.
I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gotta be biblical.
Well, who are we going to piss off today? Hey guys, it's Gunner with Gunning for CPS. Let's adjust the camera a little bit. For some reason, this thing bounces around a little bit. crazy when everything's been just kind of moving there. And I think we're locked in a little bit better. Sometimes it, takes correction. Not everything is meant to stand there forever. So we have to understand there's a thing called maintenance, including maintaining certain things several times a day, several times a month. Once again, the old saying used to be, if you don't make time for maintenance, maintenance will make time for you. Remember that. This is where you get, once again, that's part of your due diligence. But tonight we were going to go over, I know there's been a lot of questions, a lot of you guys on TikTok, been very interactive is the word that we're going to use with some of the things that we have been doing. And a little curious, like, hey, well, why don't you just turn around and give your case number? Why don't you do this? I've explained this. And I guess every so often I need to go over this from time to time. So if you guys are watching, say on YouTube, TikTok, I don't know if the TikTok comments come through on this platform because I use a part of our CPS Breaking News Network is we have a program that we actually use that broadcasts to multiple different channels. I think right now they've just upped it to 20 different channels that we're looking to get on. So next week we may be even broader, and you're going to see our face plastered all over the place. And there's a reason for it, a good reason for this. And everybody's wondering, okay, Gunner, what's the case? What's going on now? I had my own unique situation. Criminal from the very beginning, called it out even during the cases. This is bullshit. This is unconstitutional. You're not supposed to this. You're not supposed to do that. One after another is the more I'm getting into. I mean, even to the point of the attorney that I did have, the family attorney, says, well, you just went to pro se. No, I had an attorney, and this attorney was a very reputable, good person fighting against it. He knew it was bullshit because he knew me personally. And he's like, there's just no way. He says, I know what you've been doing. You were building a business, which, matter of fact, when CPS came in, we were up for some very major contracts, multi-million-dollar contracts, and not just one. Let's just put this way, there was 6 to 8 contracts that I was the only person bidding because I was considered a preferred contractor. The person that I took over the contract from was a very well-known electrical business within the state. They didn't like doing it, but once again, that was due to poor performance. They were not happy with their performance. We were able to meet their needs. Some of that may be connected, that we're actually going to be calling for a federal investigation on this. So there's a lot of dynamics that go into it, but basically, both the magistrate and the judge, and if you don't know, yes, I did have the same magistrate and the same judge that Jessica Saxton had. Her case was held here in Blount County, Tennessee. So there's a lot of familiarity, which is where people say, I don't understand how people connect like this. That's how Jessica and I come together. So now both of those, that magistrate and judge, not only violated the state's constitution, the rules of evidence, so many different things to go on, perjury, forgery. I mean, this was just a hose down. This is what Alexander Hamilton, if you go back and some of our other founding fathers, go back and look at that in the Federalist Papers. The premise of filing what I did under Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2. And if you go back and read why this was put in there, was exactly what happened to me. A group of people got together, made a decision on something, and used their authority and powers of the state, even in their official capacity, is what we're learning, that this is a problem. And you guys really need to hear me, and this needs to be understood of how big of an impact the reckoning is, and what I'm telling you guys, anybody out there that has a case needs to be on board with this, and there's a reason why. I filed under Article 3. The question does states where CPS is the plaintiff in the case, as in my case, is in my paperwork, which is a state entity, even have jurisdiction under Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2, when it specifically says that in Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2, that all cases, and this is on original jurisdiction, this is before any of the other, these are the things they say that the federal government will retain and must retain, that all cases where the state's a party, that includes CPS, it's supposed to be in federal court. I just blew your mind. Yes, states, all 50 states for over 3 decades has been defrauding the people to steal their children that they never had jurisdiction to even adjudicate or administrate over. Wow. Yeah, I got your attention now. Now you go to the 10th Amendment, which gives the power to the states. It even backs that up. Matter of fact, we're going to put it on the screen. We're going to read it together. What's that say? The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, which it is under Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2, nor prohibited by it to the states. In other words, the states can't have it. Well, it says right there that in all cases where the state's a party, they're not supposed to hear those cases. They don't have jurisdiction. Matter of fact, in Article 3, it says the federal court or the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. So that means they had to get permission for every single case and an application turned in for every time they've heard a case to the Supreme Court to allow them to even hear the case. And it doesn't exist. Houston, we've got a serious problem. That means your state has been operating a court system unconstitutionally and using it for financial gain. This will include RICO, wire fraud, mail fraud, because they've used all these different methods. And then the state has conspired. Matter of fact, they're the head of it, CPS, conspired to defraud the federal government and us on the fact that we should have never been in that courtroom. And that's not just in the state of Tennessee. That's all 50 states. What does this mean? They are now co-conspirators in crimes against the Constitution, which is felonies. Everybody from the caseworker to the investigator to the supervisor, all the way up the ladder in all 50 states have now defrauded the federal government and complicit in all these crimes. Every judge, every magistrate that ever heard the case and assumed jurisdiction, it is a felony to imitate a federal judge. Have I got your attention? Hello, Jamie Marty. I see you over there in the comments. And if you guys want to comment, jump on YouTube to where you can comment. No, this is not a joke. And yes, the proper authorities have been notified. Are they putting things in place? I believe they know the outcome of this case because SCOTUS, as well as the judge that will hear this case and answer that constitutional question, because it's been formatted like that, there's no way around it. They can't argue anything. You were never given it. It's clear and convincing evidence. And SCOTUS says the Constitution says what it means and means what it says. Well, I've just quoted 2 places, the 10th Amendment, that give the states even the powers that they think they have, strip that away. Let me use that finger instead. I won't put me out there. Anyway, the other one is Article 3. You are prohibited from hearing these cases in Article 3, but the states have made millions, billions, and trillions of dollars over the past 3 decades lying to us, dragging us in these courts, thinking they had a power and everything else. Here's the other problem. Not just the judges, You better pay attention real good. Not just the judges, but the lawyers and all of them that were involved. How did none of them know that walked in that courtroom, let alone the attorneys and lawyers that took your money? All fraud. Got your attention yet? Y'all ought to be out there right now with what I just told you on every social media platform, or anybody else you know. You better get on here and watch this show. Why? This filing they know is coming. You think it's this and this and that. Oh no, we're returning to the Constitution, and it's going to wipe out everything. Your states have been operating not only locally, but all the way up to the state level, has been conspiring and doing things against we the people to enslave us and steal our children. And we've got all the evidence we need. It's all right there, all over the fact of what? Did you even have jurisdiction? You want to see how deep this goes? You guys want to know how deep? Well, guess what? They had to write statutes and codes and policies and procedures. The state didn't they? Yeah, they did, for CPS and all that other stuff. The states are now complicit, all the way to the lawmakers that signed everything and every code and statute on your state thing. They never had jurisdiction, so why would you make statutes and codes on stuff it's never supposed to be in your courtroom? Yes, this is all 50 states. Yes, they know. But they're going to put things in place like our voting. Oh, everybody, it's voter fraud. It's voter fraud. What are they going to do? Dispatch the National Guard even to more cities and this and that? What do you think what happens when the decision comes back and we know what it is on that constitutional question? Every state is going to be bankrupt. They will seize everybody's assets. The judges, the magistrates, the lawyers, all involved. Now, you said here's the other thing. This is why this is a problem. Law enforcement is now involved in this conspiracy, and it's not a conspiracy. Yeah, you ain't going to want to hear this one. And you heard it right here. Why? Because this is the way it goes. This is what it all entails. Jamie, you ain't going to have to worry about auditing the judges. It's already in my filings with all this. They will be opening criminal investigations into all of this for every judge across the nation with what we've already filed. And they're already aware of it. Well, it goes deeper than that. They've defrauded the federal government. Every bit of money that they have taken and obtained, it's been under fraud. Especially when it comes to court orders. Now, every state judiciary, you got a problem. Law enforcement. You want to know about law enforcement? Now, understand this. This means the state has turned on the people, all 50 states. Acts of treason to steal your children. No, this is not a joke. That's why we have named this the reckoning, the return to the Constitution. This is what it's going to do. The question's already been filed. There's nothing they can do about it to stop this. As far as what you'll have to do after this goes down and everything else, get your federal lawsuits, your 1983, 85, 86. I went over that with somebody today. What about this? What about all those are covered in my filings? It's on Pacer. Yes, I tried to file in 2025. I got interfered with. I got fucking retaliated against major. So did my previous plaintiff, co-plaintiff. That is why the plaintiff is no longer on this lawsuit. Jacked up real bad and still under illegal detainment and everything. I mean, still under retaliation, and she hasn't even done nothing. But they're punishing her for filing the federal suit. Well, you want to know about a warrant? Well, I hate that for you because, yeah, we've got all the case law, and you could go back and look at some of those others. I'll have to turn around and find it again. There is, White versus Pierce County. That's it. White versus Pierce County is the case that says, yes, all CPS agents must have a warrant to enter. and that they cannot use that against you. Now, if you're talking about questioning, here's the other thing. They've all been to your houses. This is covered in the case too. Doe et al. Versus Heck et al. Talks about it's a Fourth Amendment violation of seizure to ask you questions on your own private property. See how the felonies and their very act of everything they do is unconstitutional? This is already documented in my case and the courts. We have all their training manuals. We have everything through there. They are screwed, not just in one state, but 2 states. We will be adding a 2nd state. And if you're going to ask what it is the state of Kentucky. And yes, we will be taking down 2 states completely. They will be at the forefront of every bit of this to answer for what they've done, including the retaliation. And they were dumb enough to use the actual, and I've already got all the court records and stuff like that. They actually put the date when I filed the first federal case to hold it against my former co-plaintiff. They were dumb enough to put it in there and then lied that a criminal felony act had happened or misdemeanor act. Went into a judge, got control of her kids over lies. When I challenged the court and I filed, I go on top of it, they said that I lived somewhere that I didn't. This is to hide paperwork. So due process violation. I was never served, but I was accused of dastardly things in a whole nother state I hadn't been to. That's how crooked this is, and that's how they're going to fight back. Ain't going to stop me. But once this tears down, now law enforcement, who's in the courtroom? You guys are out there, Crystal, Ryan Martin. I'll bet you had a deputy or somebody from the sheriff's office or maybe, I don't know, state police, local police, didn't you? Come on, sound off there. I bet you did. Don't I have to put all counties in every state? No, I don't. It's a constitutional question. And it goes for all 50 states automatically. That I had an option to file separately because constitutional questions, yeah, local PD. Guess what? Those law enforcement's in there under their duties, local police and sheriff's office, anybody that stood in that courtroom that they had a bailiff there, are now complicit in those crimes. Uh-oh, that's right. Your own local sheriff and police departments that were in those courtrooms has now violated their oath and done it in their official capacity. Can they be sued? Absolutely. They were part of the whole crime that you had to go through. Now, that's a little explanation of how this makes a big difference. And now I got your attention a little bit. That's what this reckoning is all about and why we want everybody, regardless of who you're with or what this, Justice Without Limits, this organization, this and that, Toll and Roll, all these other ones, this and that. You need to get on board with what's happening here because as soon as this judge makes that decision, that makes every single one of your court cases null and void. Or as on the tip and Punisher says, void ab initio, void from the beginning. Even if your kids were adopted out, they were TPR'd, they were this and this and that. If that's how it started and all that stuff through there, it is null and void. You can go get your children by the federal court. Yes, they will be abolished because of their crimes. There are active investigations going on, and it's going on for a while. Right here's your guy. Blew the whistle on this shit, filed it not once, but twice. And when they saw my second filing, I ain't playing. This ends. And they can't claim, well, I didn't know. I was just being a social worker, and I was here to help kids, and I was here for this, that. You are actively committing felonies. And ignorance of the law does not negate your responsibility for breaking the law. Every cop out there will tell you that. I didn't know. You should have. And that's going to backfire on all sorts of organizations, to where if your entire department is believing that and supporting that, let alone assisting CPS, that's a violation of your oath now, and you're part of the criminal act. You're shut down. Somebody else is going to have to come in and do your job now. Oh, wait, who paid them? Oh, the county board? You were part of this and the money-making scheme, the fact that these parents and nobody stood up, all these government officials were ignorant of the Constitution, that they were having hearings in your local courthouse, that the judge never had jurisdiction, and they can claim it all they want. But here's the problem. CPS is a state agency, and they wear it and they filed it in all 50 states. And then you bring out a CPS prosecutor that should have known not to file in that court. But they've been doing it so they could get away with it till somebody figured it out. That wasn't part of the lawyer group that was financially benefiting them, all in the family courts at CPS. You know how much money they make just off CPS cases? Let alone you sell and you scrape for every little thing that you've got. These are felonies, folks. This isn't a joke, and we've got them in a corner. This is where you start saying, hey, we know about this case. You're getting ready. You don't have jurisdiction. Why? Go look at the 10th Amendment. It says you can only have certain powers, this and that. Article 3, Section 2 says all cases they are they the state. Matter of fact, ask them that the first thing. Hey, is CPS a state entity? Well, yeah, they have the full power of state. Let them fucking brag on the record. Bring you a microphone or something in there, fucking, get that shit on the record, because they love to destroy evidence, and you've got every right to fucking record your shit. I've seen people sneak in, all sorts of little things to record. Hey, I'm going to get you on the record. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that right there, that evidence of you fucking recorded, running your fucking mouth and everything. Oh, I got jurisdiction. Well, that's not what this says. And you're in violation of the Constitution, so we need to suspend it. You can't hold my kids as hostage. You give them back, you're fucked up. Matter of fact, you have no authority to remove it. Even if that judge signed it, they don't have authority because you're a state entity. Oh, got your attention? Yes, Arkansas, all 50 states. You are talking about a power of constitutional question. Do you realize your state has the right, if things are too confused in the Senate, and they don't even have jurisdiction, you can file a constitutional question. You expect the state to file a 1983 and go to the federal court and get the answer based off of what I've done. You draft a constitutional question. I just coupled it with my case because I was personally affected by all this. That's why it has Whistleblower Act on my case and False Claims Act. You don't want to know what False Claims Act? That goes all the way back to Abraham Lincoln. People that are defrauding the government, billions and trillions of dollars, which is why it has a $685 billion price tag so far. We haven't even amended it yet. We still have subpoenas to come back to get some names, some actual names of people and this and that, and go through all that part, for discovery. Hey, I got to have this to update the filing. I need official shit. It's subpoenaed. That's what you fill all that shit out at the beginning. I know the evidence is there, Your Honor. I need to subpoena it. Power of a federal subpoena is amazing. There's no more of that. We ain't going with a FOIA. Oh, no, this is a federal subpoena saying you must. If not, you better come up with an excuse because it's going before the federal judge. Because you're also supposed to maintain these. Yeah. Big problem. That's why this is called the reckoning. It's not a joke. It is the case. Well, what do we do? What do we do, Gunnar? It's coming. Yes, the executive branch is fully aware of this case, and he's fully aware of the answer. Everybody has to be removed under the Declaration of Independence. This corruption goes too far and too deep. Oh, you're talking about overthrowing the government. No, I'm talking about executing what was in the Declaration of Independence. It says we, the people, have a not only a right, but an obligation to correct this. And the only way to do it is they're all complicit in crimes. How can they serve? So I know I'm getting CPS people. I'm getting people that are in the state, Congress and federal Congress. I know several watch this show afterwards because they don't want to pop up on my radar. But I know they're watching. A few of you even make comments of it. Yeah, they're aware of some of that too. This is not a joke. This has been going on for 3 decades to steal or beyond Nancy Schaefer to the point of, hey, this is exposure. We're going to kill you. Excuse me. Now it's on the federal record, on the case file. Case file, pen and paper. Here you go. 326-CV-189 out of the Eastern District of Tennessee. And that is where this case will be heard. Why? The original jurisdiction and the first judge that was assigned to this case as well. Why? Because they took and, once again, tried to retaliate against me, which it's all filed on them. All sorts of other things are filed. TROs, all those other things. And this, once again, this is called due process. You got to wait on the process. Everybody, oh my God, we got to hurry up. We got to hurry up. It's a process. Walk the dog. This is going to take time. It is going to take time to go in, deal with some pretrial things that have to be dealt with. One of them being fruit from a poisonous tree. What do you mean, Gunnar, fruit from a poisonous tree? See, in my case, CPS worker, as it says back in here, that came, let me see here, rotating. Yeah, they know what's going on in Wisconsin and Illinois both. I mean, it's going on. Yeah, all of that. Once again, you guys have got to get your case together on your own stuff. In other words, I missed so much work. This cost me so many hours. This is pain and suffering, this and that. When you write your federal 1980 whatever, go look at a pattern for a federal criminal case and fill out the damn complaint in the same damn format. Keep your emotions out of it. Keep it simple. What do you mean keep your emotions out of it? Let me go through it again and again and again and again for everybody. I get your hurt. The court is a court, not of feelings. You've been in the state court too long. It's real simple. Complaint, format, just like criminal. This is the law you broke. You can put in there the state, the federal, and everything else, all their codes and statutes, this and that, how they broke it. Once again, what they broke, who was involved and who broke it. In other words, who were the perpetrators? Be very specific. Don't go into details. Just say these are the ones that did it, and then explain how they did it without your emotion. The last part, how was I personally injured? It caused loss of wages. It caused physical damage in this particular way, and emotional damage and distress, blah, 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 blah. Not into your actual feelings. A description of your feelings. It is going to collapse and it is going to be nasty. Now, I know there are some of you, I'm going to say this publicly so they don't go, well, you're talking about this, you're talking about, no, I'm telling you what people naturally do. You get this decision, there will be a group or groups of people that are already talking even before this of going to get their children one way or another. But if this goes on the record, that makes all of them criminals. They are automatically stripped of everything the state may give them. Their immunity gone. You're no more than a common criminal because you used your official capacity and you abused it. And you used it to steal our children. And all of you are complicit. All the way up. Sheriff's Department, the district attorney, by failing to investigate or do those things. Like in my county, I reported it. I went through the ladders. You know what? The local district attorney ignored me, shoved it off on somebody else, and then buried it. Went to the city police officer. They're not taking a case against the state. They won't do that. These are constitutional crimes. These are felony acts. Refuse to take it. Matter of fact, the one that's actually doing that, and yeah, I'm going to say hi, that would be the chief of the city of Maryville Police Department, that officers did not take the report on all of this too. And yet this piece of garbage, and I'm going to use that doesn't train his officers to do the right thing, to honor their oath, take those reports and escalate them as they're supposed to. That makes you complicit in those felony acts, failure to investigate a crime. And I believe they're trying to run for some sort of state senate or state congressman particular thing. So if you're from the county, yeah, you can call him out. He may as well flush his campaign down the thing, buddy, because yeah, you're getting ready to get called out on a federal lawsuit, complicit with defrauding the federal government. You failed. You failed. The sheriff's office failed. And this is going to be the same story, and we're going to cover a lot of stuff. That's why when all of this is over, we are going to make all of our filings public. Okay? We will actually get something set up and publish those, including the last, just the final decision, what we filed, and everything else, and anything else we can gather, because from what I'm understanding, this is possibly going to be televised nationwide, is some of the information that I've been getting. Those applications go in. Why? Because this is so important. This is national decision that will affect all 50 states. And we, like I said, we know the answer. We've put it out there for you because, like I said, you want to kill me? Too late. I just informed millions of people what they can also, do this or that, let alone I have a backup plan. Even if somebody took and tried to kill me, I've got somebody else that can step in. Why? I filed sui juris as one of we the people. And I've already got backups. So you can start taking them down, and they're fully versed in my case, let alone, the case, even the constitutional question. But constitutional questions are not optional. They must be answered, even if they go, well, what happens if they're going to kick your case? I wasn't dumb enough to take and file it in my complaint. It's a separate filing. Oh, but you didn't know that when you like to run your mouth. Well, here are the other one that I love, and this has been from previous people that call themselves advocates. Let me run it through my little AI or my thing or my chat GPT. Oh, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. Are you stupid? Because I'm looking at actual filings. Let me explain how this AI is dangerous. I'm looking at actual filings of cases won. It looked at their structure that was accepted by the court, and they won their case. But your chat GPT, as you like to shove down everybody's throat, says that's wrong. No, because this is stuff that has gone through, and you're giving theory and bad information. This is why those AIs can be dangerous. Go look it up for yourself. It's not going to substitute. It's a great research tool and aid, but it's not 100% correct. You've still got to do, there's not an easy way out of this when you go to do this. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. You've got to read instead of doing this or that. Read. Look, right there's a great book to start with. Go read that, then go reread, or read for the first time the Declaration of Independence, and then all of the Constitution. And here's the other thing. Even if you don't, you can go back and watch past shows, and we cover a ton of it. And so does Jerry. If you guys don't know Jerry, he's under. I'm trying to get Jerry to be a guest on the show. And if y'all know Jerry, tag him in this. It's on YouTube. Once at the end of this, tell Jerry, say, hey, man, we want you on the show. Why? Because I want you and me to hash this out with what I found out, what I filed, and everything else. And I want you to sit here because I know Jerry will back it up. You're 100% constitutionally right. And that's exactly what's scaring the hell out of them right now when it's filed. I'm not wrong. I've heard that out of people that makes a difference for lawmakers. Have looked at it and go, he's not wrong. But what are we going to do? Because if that goes through, you're going to see every state government collapse and be broke really fast. All assets seized. Everybody that participated. Because they're going to have to make it right with people like you and me. Because we're going to sue the hell out of them. Will it have an effect on the insurance corporation? Let's look at some of the economics. Yes. Because they're going to pay out and empty out enough to where you're uninsurable. You getting a hold of this yet? Well, Gunnar, what's that mean for this? It don't mean jack. You know, that whole debate on property tax? How can you tax the people if you've been operating for over 30 years unconstitutionally? You can't. You got to pay back all that money. Yeah. As far back as they go, and they'll do a full investigation. If it's 30 years, 30 years worth of taxes they owe you back. Or they'll probably make the deal. No more property taxes. You actually own your property again. And hey, let's go back to land contracts where you truly own your property and they can't tax you. Oops. Yeah. You catching on how big this is now? This ain't, what is it? Where Tanawa was going to take this. Article 3, Section 2, you can't do this, and we're going to serve this along with affidavits, and this, and that. Okay. How far you got, buddy? You overheard me talking to Jessica. Yeah, you and Jessica were together, and you overheard, and then you ran with my idea of what I was doing. But you just weren't intelligent enough to follow through with the rest of it, were you? Nobody likes a thief and a fraud. Steal somebody else's idea, make it your own. No. You screwed it up anyway. You didn't evolve, man. Don't worry. I've already got it filed. My name's etched in there. Date filed. Locks me in. Doesn't matter what anybody else does. My case is the oldest, and it's locked in. So yeah, that's what happened to me that people don't understand, and especially if you're following on TikTok or some of the others. Yeah, I was taken advantage of. I was retaliated against bad. They tried to ruin me. They tried to kill me. And yeah, I did nothing but to keep collecting the evidence till all of a sudden there was no reason anymore to hold back. No more of your games. You weren't affecting anybody else. Matter of fact, you broke it so bad that yeah, my co-plaintiff was basically told by him, you have to divorce him. Otherwise, you won't get your kids back after we've lied and cheated and stealed and all this, and we're going to divide you. That is the worst damn thing you ever did. What an idiot. You set me free. Now I'm going to tear you down. And I'm going to put every single one of you in jail. Matter of fact, those judges and magistrates, Constitution is pretty clear on that too. You committed an act of war against the Constitution and we the people by adjudicating those cases and stealing our children. Am I threatening a judge? No, I'm telling you what the Constitution says. And it's real clear when it says when you create war. There is a reckoning coming. And here's the thing. It's not going to be just the courts, man. They get that decision and we, the people, will hear this nationwide. Think about that. 30 years worth of people that you've stolen children from, broke the law, broke the Constitution, drained their accounts, put them in poverty, and everything broke them, shattered them psychologically. Now are justified for a reckoning to come get their kids, and anything that gets in their way, you're a criminal anyway. You were just deemed that when this over here. You all committed felonies when you did it. I didn't. I'm going to get my kid. See how well that's going to go over for this nation, especially now. So that one thing that we came up with, I believe it was the Secretary of Defense, I think it was on there. Yeah, forgive me, little blurred. Come out and goes, hey, we're expecting another civil war. I bet you are there, big boy. Because you think the parents, let alone the grandparents, where you've stolen kids and they find out this has all been a lie, everything CPS has tried to put on people as they're bad people and all that other bullshit has all been a lie. Why? Because they never had jurisdiction to make that determination. So therefore, what you accused them of is an absolute lie, including abusing children. Uh-oh, because it wasn't criminal. Yeah, the feds are coming. Knock, knock, knock. And they're already monitoring you. There's the fun part. It's just a little bit at a time. Once again, as we've said on this show from the very beginning, things are going to change in our country and we will return to the Constitution due to the fact of certain things that were done by the now commander-in-chief in his first term. He turned it over to the United States military because of this very entity. All the way up with the politicians. And what happens, and you guys have seen it out there, what happens when one of these CPS workers get caught? They don't get fired. They get a raise. Why? Because now they can use that against you and blackmail you because they know about your crimes. You're in bed with them. And the more you're in bed with them, the more you are, the higher up the ladder you can climb. Oh, yeah, it's all that. Why? Because, once again, these judicial immunities and all these immunities and everything else. Well, that maybe sounds like another great constitutional question is how can you have judicial immunity and immunity for officers when they're all actively engaged in committing war against the Constitution and helping kidnap children across the nation? I believe we're about ready to strip the judicial immunity and all immunity in this country completely gone with one case. Once again, we are not going for case law. That was never what we wanted. We were here to set precedents like Marbury versus Madison. You shall not. The problem is you took children and the parents are mad. And I'm not just talking, you're talking about a group of people coming together that you've never seen. You're going to find out what behind every blade of grass means because it won't just be them. It will be their uncles, their aunts, their grandparents, using any means necessary to bring that baby home that was stolen. And some of those that you fucked around and you're about to find out are veterans. And you just violated that to where you're now a threat to we the people. You turned on us. That's a domestic enemy. Not my words. By its very definition. All enemies, foreign and domestic. How many veterans do you think are going to step up once they hear that and hear what's happened and you've been stealing kids and lying to people about all this abuse and all this other stuff and terrorizing the American family? And to find out every bit of it's been unconstitutional from the beginning. They should have never been in that state courthouse. because it was CPS and was required to go to federal court, but you hid in a courthouse and a court setting of the lowest court of the damn land to get away with the shit you did, rather than what it says you were supposed to be in the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court. And you covered all this up and hid it from the people and kept people ignorant. This is why they didn't want you to know your constitutional rights. This is why once all this is over and we get to those stages, we will be pushing that it's mandatory, even a test, to serve as any job within the state or federal government, a constitutional question you must get 100% on. How? Why? Because it shows you're competent. You see, our founding fathers said for this constitutional republic to work depended on, the very crutch of it was informed citizens. You and I knowing this. This is why you have a right to counsel, and they changed that to a lawyer and attorney, because that was no longer the premise. We weren't that well educated. Was it the fact that we were just that stupid? No, it was the fact you hid the importance of it from us. Even in public schools, you get what? Maybe a semester, government, whatever they wanted to call it in your class. Hell, my government teacher came out of, once again, the era of Vietnam and everything else, to turn around and tell us, man, you guys better read this shit. You better understand it, because it's the only protection you got. And out there, they're going to try and take it from you as many times as they can, because it's like a competition. They act like we're this, and people are not brought up right to where they don't understand. We're not like any other country. We are a constitutional republic. We do not have a democracy. That you hear politicians, even Republicans, turn around, well, that's a good person. He was there. Really? Because that motherfucker just said our democracy, and we don't have one. It's our republic. You are now disqualified. How dare that come out of your mouth? You are pushing a propaganda and a narrative this country, and once again, and you're putting it out there for everybody to do it. So right there's the competency. See, the Declaration of Independence made it very clear. We have a responsibility and a duty to remove them and to reinstitute something new. But you missed the part where it says, and to make sure it never happens again. Well, if we make sure that every person that serves in government uses constitutional lens with everything they do, like, hey, if I fill out this piece of paper, am I violating somebody's rights? And question and question and question and question. Because here's the problem. The states are so damn out of control, and we already know it. They're not taking and looking at things through a constitutional lens, which is a requirement. Because anything that is not within the harmony of the Constitution is considered null and void. So why before it even hits the floor, why are you writing bills in your state that are so stupid and wasting people's time? Well, we're going to see what we can get away with. No, it should have never even been on the floor to vote for unless it went through the constitutional. Is this constitutional? Same way with the flock cameras. Hey, well, it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. That's not the way it works in government. And that's where you're wrong. And that's where those people need to be removed. That's not the way this works. You got a question. You file a 1983 with the judge, whatever department it is, and say, hey, the state's asking if we implement this, is this constitutional? Because we have some questions and this and that, and go for those debates. And you're going to see about 70 to 80% of state statutes and codes and everything else, policies, procedures, the whole 9 yards, just go away. And you and I will have we have a real shot at actually living and seeing what it's like to be living under the Constitution free, without all this bullshit that they have pulled the wool over our eyes. Don't apply to us, or you've been doing this wrong. This is going to trigger a constitutional audit of everything of every state. In other words, you're not going to walk in and they're going to come back with the same statutes and codes and states and this. Oh, no, those are wiped clean. Matter of fact, we the people can vote for that and turn around, because you have to be removed. Hey, what do we want? We definitely want term limits. 2, we want you tested to make sure you're even competent, because you know how many people I've watched debate anything and turn around, oh, that person gets this, but they're not even competent. That means they're somebody's puppet. Once again, our founding fathers or framers made it very clear that we have to have a will informed, but when you start seeing people ignorant of their own constitutional rights, let alone how it applies to their everyday life, we're going to fail. And that's what they're trying to do. And if you look, there's a very, very large parallel that one could devise. And if you know anything about it, it's the social credit system in China. Wait a minute, Gunnar, did you say something about China? Isn't that where we're having that the elections was interfered with and this, is that? I don't know, but I digress. Anyway, what CPS is actively doing, not what they look like on paper, but actively do, is that social credit system. Implored, flown under the flag of safety. Once again, the social credit system, this is for the safety of who? They say the children, but it's of the state in China. Same thing. You don't comply. You don't do what we believe you should do, or worship the way you worship, or this, and that. In other words, you're not really free. You have to come to these state standards, which there are no, the state can't create standards or anything like that. Why? Because the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. You can't pass something that's more restricting than that. You can't. What's free is free. If we did that, we would end the gun control debate immediately. Well, we want this. You can't have it. What? Second Amendment. That's all there is to it. Unless you get enough people to flip it and ratify the Constitution in the right thing, not out with the people. Second off, federal. When you assholes take and start doing your damn job and start arresting these fuckers, when you know what they're doing is wrong, well, once again, we've seen the corruption through the FBI and how they've worked on trying to purge that, other stuff with the CIA, so on and so forth. Once again, this is what they're trying to purge. It's not a joke. It's a real thing. That's why certain things were declassified, including MK Ultra, the fact that they did shoot Kennedy and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And then I've already talked about the economics of after that happened. What did? They crashed cities. They hated it so bad. They didn't want another Martin Luther King or Malcolm X to rise up. What do? They destroyed the economies. Detroit, Gary, Indiana, Memphis, Tennessee, St. Louis, all those areas, watch it now, predominantly black. Crushed them financially, kept them in the ghetto. That's your federal government. But then it amazed me how many people went back and just voted for the same thing. Well, now the government owns this and that. No, man, they've already crushed your uprising. How the hell you didn't pick up on it? I knew people that marched with Martin Luther King. I'm amazed, but people are so entertained with everything else. Listen, man, when it comes to our rights, you need to be raising your children to live in a world without you. So one thing you better get into each and every one of them is the Constitution and how it goes. Stop explaining things to them. This is part of the parent. Once again, so many people, well, no, what have I done? This is why they wanted your kids in school. So you wouldn't have time to teach them that shit. And now they don't know their rights. Oh, yeah, there's a big one. Hey, here's a fun one. Did your kids get taken in question inside of school by a CPS agent? Because if they did, that's a felony. Gunnar, what do you mean? Even the Department of Justice acknowledges the fact that juveniles have got a Fourth and Fifth Amendment right. What do you get from the Fifth Amendment? Miranda. You have the right to what? Oh, there's that thing for counsel, attorney. But I'm cornered in a school. You didn't tell my parents. Where's my attorney, my civil rights attorney? Not a GAL. Has to be a civil rights attorney. Protect that child's civil rights while you question them, because you were doing an investigation, were you not? An investigation warrants constitutional protection, but none of you ever fucking did it, did you? That means it was anything that you obtained from there is inadmissible in any court. It's called fruit from a poisonous tree doctrine. You guys are quiet tonight. I see the numbers are, up there a little bit. You guys are a little quiet in the comments. Texas, new law passing. Listen, man, all these states have got new laws, this and this and that. These are laws that ain't even supposed to be there because the CPS is not even supposed to be bringing you into any state courtroom. So why are they getting the powers to do this and move into this? They can't without a judge's order. Where do they get the judge's order? From a federal court. Do they have enough information to take it to a federal court? I have yet to see a case. I have yet to see a case in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands now of cases I've reviewed, where fruit from a poisonous tree, had it been followed, which the lower court in these other cases don't. These are things, well, I'm doing things in my administrative duties. No, you're not, because you're doing this. It's still, you don't even have jurisdiction with that. You can claim administrative, judicial. It says all cases. It doesn't matter. It's still a case. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Supposed to be in federal court. You're screwed. You're going to jail. And you know what I think is funny is a lot of the arrogance I've heard of some people, even recordings of CPS, especially higher ups, of how they laugh. These kids will just end up, like they're garbage or anything. That's okay. They'll just end up in jail or murdering somebody or a drug overdose or this or that, laughing about it. Yeah, my case is already filed and it's been reviewed once by the magistrate. So yeah, we're good to go. We're on track. We're just waiting our turn. Like I said, there's nothing life-threatening or pressing, so that's how they deal with emergency or urgent orders. You have to have imminent, once again, and prove it on a federal level, imminent danger. Am I in imminent danger? No. Are there other people that are involved in this in danger? Yes. Once again, I don't have first-hand knowledge, so I can't say those things. And like I said earlier, my co-plaintiff bowed out. Once again, it's not easy going through stuff with CPS. You got to be mind strong. And this is why they isolate women, because they know exactly how to break them. That's why do you think so many psychologists and people with psych degrees are on this stuff? Who's the easiest? Women. That's not being chauvinist. Test statistics. Even they'll tell you that. Who's the easiest one to go after, mom or dad? Mom. Why? Because of her nature and what she does? Why? Because if you go after dad, there's likely he's going to become violent and kill you. Yeah. He'll die to protect his children. Some of the others, this and that. No, I got to protect my children. This, that. Even if they turn, and listen, they will lie to women. They will lie to this, and they just eat that shit up. I've seen the cases. I've seen the evidence and go, how did you come to that? So how is this? Well, they told her this and that. And look, we've got it all. I've got it recorded. And I'll listen to this stuff. And they spin a fucking yarn on a hypothetical situation, painting people out to be the worst damn people in the world. Oh my God, they've done this. Well, you have to believe your kids, or here we've had this. Well, okay. Have you looked at the child's psychological? No. Is the child in psychological? Oh, if they are, they'll keep that out of court. Why? Because that'll spin their case and they know it. Yeah, I know all about that. Psychological things where a lot of these things are documented and this and that of issues and this of this and this and that. Now, oh wait, I'm going to take you do this. I'm going to take you from another state. Then I'm going to medicate. I'm going to take your kids. Then I'm going to use MK Ultra tactics, and I'm going to give them mind-bending fucking drugs until we brainwash them to believe something that happened that was never real. Okay, that doesn't hold up in court, even criminal court or anything else, let alone a bunch of other problems. Once again, it's what are you going to do? Put this up there? No, those kids are, once again, it's simple. You file something. Hey, these witnesses have been tampered with. Why? Right here, Your Honor. Take him illegally. Broke them. Brainwashed them. Here's the medications that they put them on, mind altering drugs. And still did this when they never even had jurisdiction on top of it again. How do you think that's going to look? Are you stupid? Once again, and then it goes back to this. How did this case all start? Because this case started off with this case. Now, I'm going to teach you about multi-state, multi-layered cases. If it started here, and the first thing that this dumbass does is violate your Fourth Amendment, and there's no warrant, and that's where you get the subpoena, like I did, file for it, show me the warrant. Because it's already, I know it doesn't exist due to the fact that what? It's not on file in this case or this case. You're in deep shit. It doesn't exist, and you can't backdate it because it wasn't put on those records. And I have all the records. Collect the evidence. Sung Tzu. Make them think that you are weak, or you're actually gaining ammunition, gathering strength, putting your strategies together, and then they become arrogant. And then they slip up. Well, they did the worst thing that they could ever do. You took all the obstacles out of my way. I'm free and clear now. I've got nobody else to worry about but me. Now I can just burn all of it down. And you'll all go down as criminals. And here's the other thing. It ain't what I'm going to do. It's what you, the people, are going to do when all this is realized. And I just came back, well, you've inside. I didn't do nothing. I've just simply said you're unconstitutional. You should have done this, but you reap what you sow. You don't think that's the reason that they're not putting a National Guard in certain places and others because they know this verdict is coming? They know exactly what's going on. And they, once again, they're going to wait their turn. They're going to wait for due process. You can't rush things. You can't say it was special. You can't. You got to treat it like anything else and work through the process. But they know what the answer to that question is going to be because the way it was written. Why do you say it's the way it was written, Gunner? Because it's right in line with sitting members of SCOTUS, and they were quoted right in the filing. Which means even if you try to appeal it, and even try to do what, some people, I'm going to SCOTUS, that's part of the appellate court, that they're going to make the application to hear this. They're going to take one look at it and go, you're an idiot. He's literally quoting us on what we will rule, and he's not wrong. So I do a show here once a week to teach you guys how to do your stuff, to say, yes, there's stuff on the backside of this, which means you're going to have to get in line with everybody else. So as soon as they get that in, it's going to be like, boom, right to the courthouse. Here's the case number. I'm using that as precedence of that ruling on my case. Here's my story. And here's what I'm seeking. And you go after them. That's what you got to be ready for. Once again, if we need a few things here and there, I've asked for you guys' help. I have yet to, from my understanding, see anything in the emails. I've asked you to look for videos, TikTok, Facebook Reels, this and that. Little things, showing them firsthand. In other words, like you saw them breaking the law. Well, here's their ass on film firsthand. All the CPS cases, the stuff with cops making blatant, constitutional rights violations, all these other things in there. That's what I'm asking for, man. How hard is it? You're doing it anyway. Copy, paste, email. Here's a little brief description, Gunner. Even half of that, I'm talking about maybe even doing away with it, because obviously that's too hard to watch the video and try and itemize the constitutional rights violations. Hell, I may just end up scrubbing that. Hey, just give me the links. Somebody assemble that stuff. I've got that stuff. If you got in touch with me, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok. Send me a DM, say, hey man, give me that information, do that. As well as your affidavits of truth that are real simple. Did they start with a Fourth Amendment violation? Yeah. Did they enter your home with no warrant? Yeah. Just put that on there. Entered so-and-so entered my home on the warrant with no warrant on this particular day. This is where it started. You've now documented, once again, for that right there, it's fruit from a poisonous tree. That's where you start. Everything after it's a crime. Now, you've got that particular thing. Now, that affidavit of truth also, did you have a case where CPS was the plaintiff or the state was the plaintiff? Yes. Was it heard in a state court? Yes. Give me the names of the players. Put that on. What does that do, Gunner? Well, I'm going to take all those affidavits, unlike everybody else. See, this is getting a criminal referral, which means it goes to the DOJ. Okay? For a criminal referral, for pressing charges. Here's the best part. One of the witnesses on the list is the sitting U.S. District Attorney, the head honcho, is going to be called to the stand. So they're going to know about all this firsthand. Yeah. Welcome to the power of the federal subpoena and the court. I have questions. I have every right to call those officers. How did you allow this to go on when it violated the Constitution all these years? You aware this is going on? This is going on. You realize that this now means this is that? That's going to be some of the questions. And you know what? I ain't wrong. But now she's going to be on the record going, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to pursue this? Or are you going to leave it into the hands of we the people to deal with it because this is too big? Do you have to notify the president? Yeah, we know you got to notify the president and quite a few other agencies. We're going to see some major changes in this country in the next couple of years, fast. Don't give up hope. Encourage those that are out there, that are fighting for their children and everything else. Say, listen, man, this is just temporary. What do you mean? Get over here and focus on this, but keep your mind going, especially if they're doing this, get with your case. Even if your kids are TPR'd, adopted out, this and that. If how they took them was through the CPS thing, it goes back to the origination. It was void from the beginning, means the kids must come home. There's no way around it. And we already know what the answer is. They don't have jurisdiction. So they never could make any ruling. But the state, nothing. Constitution says no. The 10th Amendment says no. Matter of fact, it's where you even get your powers is the 10th Amendment. So, and we read it tonight. It's not a joke. Oh, you're looking for anarchy. No, I want to return to the Constitution. I wanted to be left alone, enjoy my, my life. Now with what little bit of life I have left. But I'm still out here fighting. Yeah, still out here fighting. We're coming up with solutions, not just sitting there whining and bitching, this movement, that movement, we've got to have this, we've got, great, you want to do, 50-50 custody, that there's still going to be divorces and all that other stuff. Well, guess what? You won't have to deal with the CPS bullshit, because unless it's fucking criminal, it's going to be gone. But there's going to be a whole new set of training, but there's going to be a lot of courts closed. What are you going to do then? Y'all better prepare for what's getting ready to go down. And no, it's not a joke. This is not, oh, well, he's puffed out. No, I'm telling you how things must per the Constitution. I'm telling you with the judge that we have on this and everything else that we have, it's going to happen. Because we know how this judge is ruled. We know how SCOTUS is ruled. Let alone, do you think he's really happy with the fact that I put everything on there of retaliation? Yeah, I don't think so. Darling, all of them will come home from CPS for over 30 years. They will be able to be charged criminally for this for over 30 years, because this has been an ongoing thing and it is freshly discovered. In other words, if they never knew the crime was going on 10 years ago or 15, or it wasn't reported to the court, the clock doesn't start for going back until it's discovered. In other words, they kept it hidden for a long time, and that does them no good under the law, especially under criminal law. That's called concealing a crime. So no, it will stretch back. In other words, all those that are null and void, it doesn't matter how old the case was, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 50, it doesn't matter. If CPS was on the other side and a state judge heard your thing, that is the state up there on the court, on the bench, and the state in there is the plaintiff. That's what it simply comes down to. You did not have a fair trial and it's null and void. That's what that ruling will mean. It means whatever it says in there, you can kiss my ass. Because this judge just made that void. There will be, from like I said, this is not going to be a small case. That's why they're taking the time to. They're going to have security and everything else down there. Because like I said, once you guys get a hold of this, we expect probably close to 1 million people there at the courthouse, day in, day out, here waiting for this verdict. Because as soon as they get this verdict, they're going straight for their kids. It's not a joke. Or they'll send representatives. No, it's going to be a huge case. It will be a nationally covered case. I don't do that once again. I didn't want this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. Once again, this is not my choice. It's my obligation and it's my duty as an American. Why? Because I'm not going to sell out. Or like, well, you're going to have to take a forced thing. No, because here's the issue. I can't mediate with them. I can't settle out of court with them because that would make me complicit in felony acts. Yeah, it's over. Then we're going to go to court, and then all the stuff's going to be put on record, and then the court's going to answer. So we got several constitutional questions ready to go that will show how corrupt they are and unconstitutional in everything they do. Because we already know the answers. We've done our research. We've backed it up with our briefs. And we don't have to have 60-page briefs, man. You got to keep it simple, stupid. Why? Because when you put in, it says it here and it says it here, and there's no way out of it. I don't need to have any further conversation. You forgot the Constitution is absolute. We're going into a courtroom that your legalese and your bullshit don't matter. We're in a constitutional courtroom, and the judge is going to answer according to what SCOTUS has said, because the Chevron doctrine is dead. There's no more independent thinking. They have to rule the way the higher courts have ruled, and we already know, because we're quoting SCOTUS, you're screwed. So I hope that this show has been a little bit more in depth and a better explained to you guys, the audience, of what's going on, what the reckoning's about, what this case means. No, it's just an individual case with me against all the people and the perpetrators that did me wrong in 2 states. We will be amending it. You're just seeing the scratch of the surface. That's what you call enough to get in. Why? Because we didn't have the names of some of the people. How can I put them on there? We have to subpoena those. That's the beauty of subpoenas. And that's something that we've covered too, with subpoenas. And like we've tried to tell you guys, the same thing. When your complaints, there's your structure. We've talked about the structure of your complaint. And then you have different sections of your complaint, including relief, so on and so forth. Remember to highlight when you have exhibits, which is your proof or your hard evidence. Cite that within your complaint. See exhibit so-and-so. And then you have a cover sheet that goes with each exhibit that explains what they're looking at. So they go, I don't know what I'm looking at. The cover sheet is what you put on there for each exhibit, so they understand what they're reading or what they're seeing or how it applies in perception and perspective of your complaint. Usually you're pretty detailed in it. Break it down to where like a 5-year-old or 6-year-old would take and understand. Quote things that are by sitting SCOTUS members, whether it's in case or you've seen in a case or a case law. Hey, he ruled like this, and this is what he said about it. Or, hey, here's his publication. Here, he did an interview at the Ronald, say at the Ronald Reagan Library or this library, or, however they do book releases. Once again, these are things to get into the mind of SCOTUS that you could quote and say, this is the way they think. You better go do this. And if you're going to go against SCOTUS, you've now lost all authority and jurisdiction in, because of, once again, the Chevron doctrine's over with. You don't get your fucking opinion anymore. You keep your fucking mouth shut and you do your job. That's what that did to the lower court judges. You will do your job, but you're not doing it. Now, I quote federal judges, that's because you're supposed to do that under your what? Oath. Constitutional law above all. And well, you took advantage, well, I was just ruling on this, Your Honor. I was just ruling on this. Once again, ignorance of law. You should have done your due diligence, which is, in other words, it's another crime for judges and magistrates. It was your due diligence and part of your judicial canons. See, there's that word, canons. Your judicial canons specifically say you're supposed to be competent in the law to even sit in that chair. How did you not know that you never had jurisdiction? You can't be that damn ignorant. If so, you're unqualified. And if so, whoever put you up here or whoever has certified you to be here is also incompetent. Oh, you mean that shows the people that were certifying them of being competent for the race or possibly being elected for that, they were not qualified and nobody bothered to check? Because that's what this is going to show all the way into the political realm of your local fucking voting and everything else. That's where they're going to go. Well, who did that? Well, he was buddies with this, and that, and they got enough signatures. Yeah, but are they qualified? Well, they've been doing it so many years. Did you give a test? Did you make sure they have enough CEUs or enough time with CEUs that they have to keep up to date on everything they're doing? Or is there a newsletter where the state puts that stuff out to, hey, adjust your decisions based off of this? Be aware the appellate court, this has changed. But they don't give a shit about those, do they? Does it the Tennessee appellate court, hi, I'm the one that you kicked back and go, no, I'm going to put it back down to lower state, really? Because now you're just all sorts of fucked up, ain't you? Because that letter went up there for the federal court to look at too, Tennessee appellate court, and see what you said. How, when I expressed what was going on all the violations and everything else, you did nothing. Why would I trust you with anything else? You're as crooked as they are, all the way up. So yeah, burn the whole corrupt disease temple of theirs to the ground. Start over. Got no problem with that. You're going to have to, because most of you are going to be in handcuffs because you're co-conspirators in all these crimes your state's been doing for over 30 years. And to every governor, shame on you. Shame on you that you didn't make sure you're seeing stuff going on in your state you know is unconstitutional. Where's a committee or some funds or anything for accountability to make sure that anybody in the legislative is passing, statutes and codes, or whoever's writing policies and procedures to make sure they're constitutional? You don't do a damn spend $1 on that, but everybody loves to line their pockets or increase their pay raises, but none of them are constitutional. We'll pass unconstitutional state laws, as you call them. They're not laws, they're statutes and codes. Because you're not lawful. You think you're legal, but you're not lawful or constitutional. And that's going to bite you in your ass because now somebody's figured out the whole shebang. And you're screwed. And the people will not take it anymore. I'm not saying that. I'm reporting on that. Me, I hope we do it peacefully. I hope the federal government comes in, arrests everybody, gets the kids back home and everything else, and we find out a way to work it out. We have a few suggestions, but they're going to have to, because if not, we will have a civil war, because these parents, after they get that decision, it will become bloody, and we do not want that. Make sure that that's clear. I would much rather it be done peacefully. Let them be arrested. Let them do that. And here's the beautiful thing. Put them in Gen Pop because they're not anybody special. And here's the other, and the beautiful thing is, some of them, I don't know, I think justice may end up happening right inside those court systems in those criminal courts. Putting them in jailhouses all over the place or prison camps till they can have their trial. Oh yeah, that goes under JAG and Army CID because, oh, you forgot those things for that. That's called treason. When you defraud the federal government willingly and knowingly, let alone you adjudicate it and all that. Yeah, all those judges and magistrates, that's automatically military tribunal under the Constitution. JAG has got to be contacted, and they're aware. It's not a joke. So once again, who are we going to piss off today with our knowledge and information? Well, I hope I've done enough to piss you off this episode. Guys, thanks for joining us once again. I guess we got a new song here. Let's see what we got.
We came for the families. Other families are coming for them. This is the reckoning.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed the song. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to tell somebody about our show. Direct us to past shows on YouTube. And once again, guys, we love you. Love on somebody. Give them the support. Encourage them. It's almost over. You get on board with this and spread this against all 50 states, because we want everybody to know about it. We want them to know about the hearing. When the hearing gets scheduled, the whole 9 yards. This affects you and me nationwide, but it puts a stop to things to where I'm not going to. And you're going to see parents going to this. No, CPS, you can't. Haven't you heard? There's a constitutional question that's going to make you illegal for your criminal activity. And when you can articulate what it is and go, I dare you to go to that judge and file in that courtroom when you're supposed to be in a federal. Because you're going to face for every child you've ever dealt with, every child you've laid on. And here's the thing. You got your own records that are going to be used against you. And the federal government's already monitoring them. Guys, welcome to the reckoning. It's not a joke. Let's stir this thing up and get on board and help each other. Let's get those cases together, get them ready to be filed. And guys, I love you. I love what you're doing. Keep up fighting. And like I said, I may be a little bit of this and that. And as I used to tell some people, I'm an asshole. I am. But here's the thing. I can be your asshole, but I'm going to do it for the kids because it's the right thing to do. Because the Constitution demands it. Selling out for a dollar amount, I ain't worried about money at the end of all this. My family will never have to ever again. Why? It's part of the Whistleblower Act and several other things. But I sure as hell won't leave your children in bondage. Nope. Time to bring them home, guys. We'll see you again next week, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're